You sit in a quiet room, maybe late at night, and notice how heavy your shoulders feel. Not from the weight of the day itself, but from something quieter. A constant presence you barely acknowledge, like a soft pressure behind your chest. You remember the moments you didn't speak up, when saying less felt safer, when holding it together became a quiet expectation. Maybe no one said it aloud, but you carried it anyway, the weight of being relied upon, the weight of keeping the world steady around you. You notice it in subtle ways. The pause before you voice a need, the careful tilt of your head when others express worry. You learn to measure yourself not by your desires or frustrations, but by how stable you could remain, how much you could hold without faltering. There's a rhythm to it, almost invisible, like a quiet drum that marks your every choice. Sometimes you wonder if it would feel different to let it drop, even for a moment, and just breathe without responsibility pressing on your lungs. It comes out in your body first. Tension around your jaw, the way your hands curl when you sit alone, the tiredness that is quite physical but settles anyway, a shadow on your bones. You've carried it so long you might not even notice until the room is still, until the noise of daily life fades, and suddenly the quiet is loud. You feel both strong and fragile, both steady and worn, and it's confusing. You recall small victories that weren't really victories. Moments when you smiled while inside, something small cracked open, something personal folded in to stay hidden. It wasn't about lying or deception. It was about protecting. Protecting others from your exhaustion, from the storm of your own feelings, from a world that often expects the strong one to remain strong. You learned early that showing the edges of yourself could unsettle someone else. And so, edge by edge, you kept smooth surfaces, steady expressions, hands that could hold more than they should. There is a quiet complexity in being the strong one. It's not just strength, it's a careful balance between visibility and invisibility. People see reliability but rarely the cost behind it. They notice competence but not the constant calculation of how much weight your shoulders can carry today. You may even feel a little pride in this, a small satisfaction in being dependable, but beneath that, there's a subtle ache. An ache that whispers in the moments when no one is watching. A reminder that being strong is sometimes exhausting because it is chosen for survival, not always for joy. You may recognize it in your relationships. You are often the first to respond, the one who anticipates needs, who offers comfort before anyone asks. Others may lean on you easily, sometimes without realizing the depth of the balance you maintain. It's not resentment, not exactly, more like an invisible ledger that records every act of care, every compromise, every quiet concession. And over time, it can make you feel like your own needs are small by comparison, like they must wait while the world continues to rely on your steadiness. Sometimes it shows in moments of silence, when laughter feels heavy, or when exhaustion comes not from work or activity, but from being emotionally available again and again. You might notice subtle impatience with yourself, a quiet frustration that you can't relax fully, that you can't drop the role even when no one is asking for it. The role has become familiar, and familiarity makes it difficult to see the pattern clearly. But recognition is possible, soft, gentle recognition that this is a learned rhythm, a survival pattern that once protected you, once helped you navigate a world that needed you to be solid. And yet in that recognition there is a kind of freedom. Awareness doesn't demand change immediately. It simply allows you to see. The strong one you became is not the totality of you. You are not only your reliability, your steadiness, your ability to hold the weight of others. You are also the one who notices how tired your shoulders are, who feels the quiet ache of hidden labor, who can pause and consider what it means to simply exist without carrying. Awareness gives you choice, not obligation. Perhaps you realize, in a small, almost imperceptible way, that strength does not have to mean absence of vulnerability. You can be steady and still honor the edges, the quiet spaces inside yourself that have long been ignored. Strength is not the same as invisibility. It is not the same as carrying alone. And noticing this can shift something inside you, a gentle loosening, a recognition that even in stillness, even in pause, you remain strong in a truer sense. You may feel a flicker of relief. Not a solution, not a fix, but a quiet softening. You see the pattern, and in seeing it, you allow a small permission to acknowledge your own needs, to breathe more fully, to notice without judgment that you have carried a certain way for a long time. Reflection becomes a kind of quiet companion. You are learning to understand yourself in layers, not as an assignment of right or wrong, but as a complex story of adaptation, resilience, and careful survival. And sometimes, in that understanding, there's a subtle ease that comes. You notice moments when you can lean slightly, when you can allow your own emotions their space without fear of disrupting others. You recognize that care for yourself does not diminish your capacity to be present, to hold space for others. It simply makes your presence more conscious, more rooted, more aligned with your own rhythm as well as the rhythms you've learned to honor. There is a profound quiet in this awareness, a quiet that is not lonely, but expansive. You notice that the role you've played was once necessary, and that necessity does not have to define every choice you make today. You can honor the strength it gave you without letting it obscure the softer, private contours of your life. You can notice patterns without judgment, hold tenderness without guilt, and understand your own steady heart with the same care you have given to so many others. And here in this reflective space, there is room for self-compassion. No rush, no demand, just recognition. Acknowledgement of the invisible labor, the quiet endurance, the subtle ache behind the strength. And in that acknowledgement, a gentle reassurance. You are seen not by someone else, but by yourself. You are safe. Your awareness gives you choice. Your recognition gives you balance. And even in stillness, even in the moments when you pause, your strength remains. But it is yours entirely now, chosen consciously and held with care. So tonight you might breathe differently, slowly, intentionally, a small act of permission for yourself, no one else required. And as you do, you notice that being the strong one does not mean you are alone. It means you have learned to carry carefully, and now you also have the opportunity to carry more softly if you choose. Awareness does not demand change. It offers clarity. Reflection does not promise transformation. It offers understanding, and understanding in its quiet way can be enough. You may not feel different immediately. You may not feel lighter tomorrow, but you have begun the gentle practice of seeing yourself as you are, steady, complex, enduring, and human. And in that seeing there is a quiet kind of hope, not grand, not sweeping, but intimate, soft, and grounding. A recognition that you are your own companion, that your own care is valid, and that the quiet strength within you is worthy of notice, respect, and gentle attention. And if you feel like returning to this space, reflecting on these rhythms again, that is yours to choose. Awareness gives you choice. Recognition gives you perspective. And the hidden pain of always being the strong one can, in its own quiet way, teach you how to hold yourself tenderly too.